Welcome to the Hacksaw podcast. This is episode 3. I'm Jordan, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, my friend, my brother from another mother, Everett.
Hey everybody, it's Everett here.
Well, it's great to have you, as always.
Am I a perpetual guest on the Hacksaw podcast?
I don't know if I can go solo on this. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, maybe this is the first episode you've heard by us. Basically what this show's about is we like to tear down and slice into the highly praised cultural figures who have shaped our modern world. We think they're hacks, and we're going to tell you why. Like I said, this is episode 3, and the person we're going to be talking about today has pretty much become at least one of the main institutions of Hollywood comedy films and television shows.
More like the institution, like the old nowadays.
The only other guy I can think of is the guy who did the Hangover films.
Yeah, but
Todd Phillips.
he's like doing other shit now, right? He's like not even doing comedy anymore.
Well, he said that because we're so PC these days that he can't be funny anymore.
Yeah, he can't be funny anymore because like those jokes that he writes are like it's funny because it's a transsexual.
He just doesn't realize or have the.
It's funny because it's a guy in ladies' clothes.
Yeah,
that's
a man
the
with
joke.
It's a man with a small penis.
He's got a small penis.
I mean, that is pretty funny.
Oh, of course. Small dick is always funny.
I laugh at that a little bit too
especially,
often.
I don't know. Yeah, that's always funny, no matter what.
Did we already say we're doing our show today about Judd Apatow?
I think we've alluded to it a few times, but yeah, we're
doing Judd Apatow.
we're doing Judd Apatow. Yeah, the man, the penis, the fucking piece of shit, the human garbage. I think that he seriously is like single-handedly like taken the wheel of comedy in Hollywood, and he's just steering it right towards that iceberg, full steam ahead.
It does seem like he's everywhere. And would you actually be surprised if I told you that he's actually only directed 6 films?
Well, yeah, because the movies that he's directed are the worst ones out of the whole list, and the movies that he's been a producer on have been kind of spotty here or there. Like you wouldn't even realize that how many films that you like he's had his fingers in. Not alluding to anything, but still true. But anything that he's been a producer on and had any sort of creative input are the ones that like suffer the most. Like the ones that he's had like zero input creatively and literally just fronted money for are the ones that are, in my opinion, and I think in yours too, are like substantially like the funniest films.
Right. He does these big kind of ensemble movies, at least as far as the cast goes. He usually gets a pretty similar group of actors to be in his films, at least since he went into directing.
A lot of directors kind of do that.
Oh, yeah, I get it. There's nothing wrong with that, really.
No.
It's just that he seems to really rely on a pretty strict formula. We'll get into that, but you definitely know when you're watching a Judd Apatow film. Like, I just finished the King of Staten Island last night.
Oh, after, like, trying to finish that for how many weeks?
I had to finish it.
Yeah.
And last night I just was like, well, I've watched everything else. I'll finish Staten Island now, or the King of Staten Island now. And it's not bad, really. It's just, I feel like the whole storyline he typically goes with and the kind of characters he kind of goes with are kind of played out, It's like,
well, yeah, that's
it.
One of the problems with him is the constant rehashing of the same fucking shit over and over and over again. And like I'll even go as far as say that that's not necessarily always like a bad thing. Like there's plenty of like instances where like a horror movie, for example, like a lot of horror movies kind of run the same sort of 6 or 7 different plot lines. I mean, we even had a movie that acknowledged that, the Cabin in the Woods movie. It was a great movie. I love that movie. But what Judd Apatow does is the complete opposite. It's just redo the same shit over and over again with different actors, and that's what makes it different.
Right. So I think to kind of get us going here, to get us cooking. By the way, this is going to be a funny episode. Everything we've done thus far has been pretty dry and descriptive. Yeah. We've
been very like Gore Vidal with our previous You're subjects.
Listening to Eric Weinstein's over here.
Oh Jesus!
Talking about some political bullshit. Anyway, so we're gonna have some jokes. We're cooking. I'm clicking my pen here. I got my notebook out. Did
you write jokes?
Yeah, I got my joke book, but I'm gonna set it aside for now because
that is a joke book. 101. What the hell is that?
Okay. I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I knew it was ugly. When I was born, the doctor, he smacked my mother.
Right, anyway. But we're going to structure, but I figure I'll set my joke book aside because, I want to structure this episode like a Judd Apatow film in the sense that, we're not going off a script here. We're just going to improv it. I took a little bit of an edible before we started recording. My life is a mess, and I gotta get it. I gotta get it together.
Yeah, your life is a mess. You're getting older. Yeah,
I'm some millennial piece of shit, and I need a cool lady or something to come by. And
you're having too much fucking fun, and you need to knock it off.
I'm like, wow, you're a real strong woman. I think that I should change my ways in order to be with you and support you.
Yeah, I'm doing it all wrong here. Like, I need to stop having a good time and, just kind of letting life live itself out. And I need to get rid of everything that I love in order for the pussy.
So I think that we should kind of get into, well, like I said earlier, Judd Apatow seems like a guy who's just everywhere, whether he's writing, directing, producing, planning, whatever other part of film production there is.
He started in stand-up. He was going to USC for a little while for I don't know, probably some fucking nepotistic reason. And
where's Judd Apatow from? Is he from New York?
Probably.
I've heard of it.
No, yeah, we actually did do research for this, but no, he basically is a child of nepotism. Like his dad was in essentially, you could say, show business because he owned a record company.
Yeah, he ran a music label.
And stuff. So he was sort of like in the entertainment world. Very successful record label that made a lot of money taking music and stealing music from African American blues musicians and repackaging them, giving them the classic give us all your master tapes and we'll give you $20. And
I imagine his dad to be kind of like do you know the character Hesh from The Sopranos, the older Jewish man who used to be a record label guy?
Yeah, exactly. No, he is that guy for sure.
So I'm kind of picturing that kind of person.
Well, yeah, he's basically just screwed over a bunch of African Americans and stole their music and like what most record labels did back then, and just for whatever trying at the time, made a buttload of money. And so their whole family was set up for a long time. Basically just gave Judd a free ride into USC, which he didn't even finish. And he decided to kind of just drop out and do comedy. I looked at some of Judd's old stand-up routines from the late 80s, mid 80s.
I saw a couple of those too, or at least some clips.
Oh man. Here's the thing. Just to throw him a bone, which is what he would love because he loves dick. The comedy in the 1980s, it was a different time.
Guys love looking too. I like looking at women, but guys are into it, I don't mind looking at girls by myself, but in a pack, I think that's kind of gross, It's hey, look at it, It's I just don't think looking at women should be a team sport, It's I'm with another guy, we see a good-looking girl, we both get horny, then she leaves, and now we're two horny guys alone. This is how guys become gay. Yeah. After a while, one of them's like, come on, let's just do it. We'll think of her. Come on, Bobby, give me a kiss. Come on. Oh, I love the guys moaning.
So I guess the question is, from there, okay, so he started out in his early 20s doing stand-up, and it wasn't very good. Didn't really seem to make much of an impact, so it's like, okay, so how did he get from there to where he is now? And I think that was just when he started hooking up, well, not hooking up, but
He wishes.
networking and connecting, making friends, so to speak, with other people who were up-and-coming comedians at the time. People like Adam Sandler, for instance, who, you know, around the time he started getting into stand-up, Adam Sandler was just exploding, you know.
Yeah.
Getting on.
That time period was like, man, if you were a comedian and you had a guitar, you were made it. You were a white guy with a guitar and a comedian, like you were gonna make it.
So anyway, he's making connections with that. He's making connections with people at HBO, SNL.
He's basically using his, like, the fact that his family is well off and his dad is connected with people in entertainment and show business and stuff. He's kind of like, you know, just sort of catapulting himself. And he also just got really lucky because he was coming up around people like you said, like Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller, Gene Garofalo, all those people that were on career paths that were pretty much determined at that point. They were like getting just set up with gig after gig after gig and like part after part after part. They were just, if you think about the 90s, like the amount of Ben Stiller movies that were like huge hits, like the amount of Adam Sandler movies that were huge hits, you know, like all the Happy Madison productions that, like, back when Adam Sandler was like making good movies and he was making funny movies, like not anymore, but you know, except for Uncut Gems, he was good in that. But
Oh, for sure.
you know, I like when he but that was a lightning in a bottle situation where it was just the perfect thing for the perfect moment. But he was just,
the directors were actually making him do stuff.
the directors like gave a shit because it wasn't some like fucking stupid Netflix dump off of money, like where it was like, hey Adam, we need like 20 movies this year. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I could film those in like a week. You know, and he just fucking dumps his fucking diarrhea onto Netflix, and like they give him like $400 million a year to do that, and everybody goes home happy.
He got to start writing the movies, or at least co-writing them. I'm not sure how much he wrote of it, but he co-wrote with someone that movie Heavyweights back in the mid-90s,
Which I watched, and it is that one's not half bad because the subject matter in that movie is one of those things where it's like it's still going off of old comedy rules, which is no like of just bits that are like, this is the bit. The bit is that we're gonna say something as gross and as mean as possible, and that's the bit, which is what they do today. And like back then, it was like, no, there kind of has to be some comedic formulaic kind of thing going on here, whereas like, you know, it's actually like a performed piece. And that's what in the movie, like, you know, basically works because of that. You know, it's like same thing with like a drama. If you're writing a drama, it's like you have to have, you know, proper emotions for proper scenes that come out at a certain time and come to a certain, like, you know, peak to get the full effect of the scene. And it's the same thing in comedy where it's like these bits have to be performed in a certain way where it's like it has the most impact. And back in the 90s, like they were still going off of that old Mel Brooks rules. It wasn't until later on that they decided to kind of just ditch that.
Here's something about Judd Apatow's writing too. It's like, oh, if you thought his stand-up was bad, you know, if you thought his stand-up was bad,
if you thought his stand-up was bad,
you know, the thing about his writing is, well, you might think, oh, well, maybe he was just much better at being a writer, you know?
which is sometimes true.
And definitely, you can easily transition into something and be better at that sometimes. But looking up about what he actually did as far as writing goes, at least as far as how much he was in charge of, he was involved with movies such as The Cable Guy and Liar Liar and some movies like that. But when I say he was a writer for it, it means he didn't really come up with the idea. He didn't really create the whole story.
He added the commas in the script.
He did. Well, right. Well, kind of. He did.
He did like the margins. Like
he did uncredited rewrites for the most part, which is, hey, you know.
Ooh, uncredited. Ooh.
None of us want to work on this anymore. Could you touch this up a little bit?
Yeah.
and then we're good to go.
Can you fix the font size so that it fits onto one page? And like, hey, Judd, like I can't, for some weird reason, I'm like, I got this blank page on Microsoft Word I can't get rid of. Can you like get rid of it?
It seemed like he had a pretty good run doing that for a bit. Not much going on with it, though. And then he started getting into producing there from that point. I think the main thing he was known for starting out with that was the show Freaks and Geeks, which was, I really liked it when I saw it. It was a short-lived show. I think it only had one season.
Freaks and Geeks was one of those shows where, for one thing, the big point of reason why that show is actually a lot better than anything else he was involved in was just because of the cast itself. Mm-hmm. Like the cast is pretty much like everybody who's headlining or main staging every single comedy movie or every single feature that's coming out nowadays.
Right, like who all was on that show? There was
Jason Segel, Seth Rogen,
mm-hmm.
James Franco, like a lot of people you'd recognize are in this movie or in this show. And I think that more so this show having like, the amount of talent that was in it, even though this was a very like, for a lot of these people, this was like really early in their careers, if not the very beginning of their careers. It's the same concept that we talked about with Christopher Nolan, where, if you take like The Dark Knight, for example, like Christopher Nolan is a garbage director, but Heath Ledger is a brilliant actor. And Christopher Nolan didn't direct Heath Ledger on how to do the Joker. He didn't like give him any cues. He didn't tell him what to do. He didn't do any of that. Heath Ledger is just such a amazing artist that he was able to just take the role and elevate it far beyond what anybody expected him to do, without any help from fucking Nolan. Like he didn't have anything to do with that. I believe the same is true for this. Is mm-hmm. that you have people in you have actors in this show that are just able to elevate the material.
One of the reasons why Judd Apatow became this sort of force is that once he was able to direct his first movie, which was the 40-Year-Old Virgin back in 2005, it was such a successful movie, and it was the first like big hit R-rated comedy in a long time, I think, and it sort of brought back this trend of the raunchy comedy, the movie that has a lot of crude humor, maybe like some nudity, maybe some drug stuff. I just feel like I feel like there was at least a half decade or so where it seemed like that type of comedy movie was sort of dead. We were kind of doing the screwball thing for a while. I think of stuff like Zoolander. I think about
Biodome.
Sure, yeah. Like from like the late 90s to like the early 2000s.
Half-Baked, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah. Half-Baked, Mystery Men, Yeah. I'm not saying these movies are bad.
Absolutely not. Half-Baked is amazing.
A lot of those Jim Carrey movies and stuff. But it's just been a while since... But those movies, for the most part, were all PG-13, or at least,
Yeah.
Families
they didn't go full like deep into it, and it's one of those things that Judd Apatow thinks that if you just show a dick, that it's genius.
So they told me I was only gonna have 4 minutes, so if it's all right, I was just gonna focus all my questions on Judd Apatow's penis.
Let's do it.
Great.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah. Like if you just do that, then it's genius. It's just like, well, sure, go. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, like, what's the context? Like, what's the comedic context of, like, the dick? Like, is it just there? Because if it's just there, then it's like, okay. It's like the very beginning of Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's just like, here's Jason Segel's penis. It's like, there was not really any setup for that. There's no context for it. It was just I'm going to shock you with the first scene and be like, whoa, all right. It's like, it needs some comedic context for it to be funny.
So, yeah, he directed the 40-Year-Old Virgin. That was a giant success. And then he
just milked that formula.
Everything just sort of spread out like that.
It was like, okay, that's what works.
Like a squid releasing its ink. Just a big pool of blackness, of darkness. Descending down to the depths of the ocean. To the bottom of the sea it goes.
Hearken ye.
So, obviously, like I said, it was a big hit. And then and like we just mentioned a little bit earlier, too, it really jump-started a lot of these young actors' careers. Steve Carell was already doing okay. I remember he was one of the correspondents on The Daily Show.
Yeah,
for a while.
that was his like resident job for
And
like a long time.
I think that same year he started his role as Michael Scott on The Office.
Yeah,
So 2005 was just
he was busy with that for a little
banger
while.
year for Carell.
Yeah.
But Seth Rogen was in The 40-Year-Old Virgin as well, and then he went on to star in, or at least co-star in the next film Apatow directed, which was Knocked Up. And, well, should we talk 40-Year-Old Virgin at all?
Well, my only thing about it
What do
is
you
that
think? 'Cause
like
I watched it again somewhat recently before we started.
it's
we start recording.
I think that only thing we should say about it is that like Judd Apatow, for one thing, is complete fucking hypocrite when it comes to what he believes like comedy should be, and also like what he believes is not okay, especially nowadays with like the bullshit that he says on like Twitter and stuff. The whole like woke culture that he was like touting at the same time he was doing like some of the most misogynistic stuff ever on the side. He was like a total like fucking hypocrite about the whole thing. But like,
Yeah.
I think part of it starts with 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's the first like thing, and we've talked about this before, but it's like the first like inkling into like the weird like pseudo conservative politics.
That's one of the things that's a common trope in pretty much all of Judd Apatow's films, or at least his biggest ones, is that, like you said, they kind of masquerade as these raunchy, edgy comedies.
Yeah, that
full
like
of profanity and
that
crude
mostly
humor.
kids would like, mostly teenagers would like. You know, it's like that kind of thing. It's like appealing to that crowd.
But at the end of the day, the movies really support family values, or at least that's what they project.
But not like the good kind of family values, but more like the nuclear family.
Well, Judd Apatow is a very big family man. He's a big family guy, you know.
Yeah.
He makes us laugh and cry.
Yeah. Oh God. Come on. Is that in the joke book, Jordan? The Family Guy reference there?
No, I just got that.
Off the cuff. Off the cuff then.
That
Wow.
was off the cuff, man. I'm
Holy
improving.
shit.
Look
Damn.
at me.
You could be in a Judd Apatow film, like because you don't have to read scripts.
Look, I'm improvising. I'm being creative. Look, it's a hat.
Yeah. That's a book on your head. Yeah. That's a hat now.
That's a bad one, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't got much to work with in here.
No, it's not. We're just in this this beautiful office on the top. We're recording inside the Space Needle.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're actually rotating as we got a great view of the Seattle skyline. You know, it's beautiful up here.
We don't have any access to any kind of cameras, so otherwise we'd show it to
No,
you.
we're at the top of the Space Needle, but we're like in the pantry, like in the kitchen.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like,
Should we be
a windowless room?
should we be revealing this?
What? Where we are?
Yeah.
I mean, they have to pay to get up to the top of the Space Needle.
Yeah, I'm just saying they'll
Like-
know our address.
I'd like to
there,
send
too.
one bomb to the Space Needle, please.
Hey, baby, I hear the blues are calling. Toss salads and scrambled eggs. Quite stylish.
So anyway, with Apatow, the whole family values promotion, like you said, it's kind of like the lame kind of family values, in the sense that it doesn't really challenge anything. It's the typical kind of conservative, like you said, nuclear family thing where settling down and having kids is really the best thing you can do with your life.
Yeah,
and
which I'm not knocking if that's what you want to do. I'm not saying that inherently
Sure.
is bad, but I think it's inherently bad to like promote anything like that. I think that it's like it's stupid to like put that like subliminally in your films and stuff like that.
I think it's just a bit disingenuous to present it as something else.
Yeah,
That's
to,
the
like,
main
to,
thing
to
that
kind
bothers me.
of I guess what I'm trying to say is like to like cover it up with like smoking weed or like getting hot sex or fucking I'm Seth Rogen.
The whole smoking weed thing is so played out at this point.
Yeah,
It's been
nobody
played out for
cares.
years,
It was
actually.
played out when Final Express like came out. Like it was
Yeah.
it was already like okay. It was like fucking weed was like on our goddamn grocery list by that point.
it's so much of some of his character's identity that it's lame, you know.
Yeah. It's just not. It's just what it is really. It's just unimaginative. It's just a lack of creativity. It's just a lack of like artistic sort of perspective in anything. You know, it's like it's just so surface level and shallow. Like that's what a lot of his movies are, and that's how I feel like ultimately like why they kind of they sort of strike a shitty chord with me is that they just seem so disingenuous and like shallow to the point where it's like. The amount of thought that was put into this just seems to be so little, if any at all.
Yeah, so I'll just give a couple examples. I remember one thing that was a plot point in The 40-Year-Old Virgin was the woman he's starting the relationship with in the movie. I forget the character's name, but anyway, her daughter wants to start having sex with her boyfriend, and the mom's saying she's too young or they need to wait for some reason. And I think the daughter is 17 and she's having sex with a guy that's her age. I don't see the...
Yeah, that's like that's what I'm talking about. That's like the weird conservative stuff. It's just like, yeah, like, you know, like, look, here's the thing. If your kids are like in high school, they're fucking.
Right.
They're doing it badly.
They're at least doing something.
They're doing stuff. Like I mean, we don't have to tell you that. You already fucking know that. Like anybody with like half a brain who's a parent like knows that their kids are doing this stuff. You know?
I mean, the fact that a lot of them it happened it waited until high school is you should just say that's good.
Yeah.
Didn't start in middle school or God forbid elementary school.
That should be the rule, really. Yeah, it's just like you fucking control your kids, that kind of stuff until they get into high school. But after that, you can't do anything. But
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, look, 17, like, okay, that's
a little bit
weird.
But that's the conservative shit, you know. That's the basically what he's saying is like he's touting the waiting to have sex until marriage thing. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and it all comes back to some sort of weird, cuckoo, fucking religious angle. That's like what it all comes back to, and it's just like, do we really like I said, like I don't care if you want to make a movie about that and you want to promote that. That's fine. The problem that I have is the hiding it inside of movies that are geared towards people of that age group.
Yeah, and another example I think that stands out is in the next movie, Knocked Up. Katherine Heigl's character gets pregnant after, surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, but unexpectedly after having a drunken one night stand with Seth Rogen's character. I'm never going to remember anybody's names in these movies. I'm just going to go by their actors. It's fine. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen these movies. I know you have. If you're listening to this episode,
everybody's seen this fucking movie. It's like everybody's seen it, and nobody even who has seen it can name the names of the characters. They all say Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl.
They all say Jonah Hill.
They all say Jonah Hill. Nobody says like the dudes. It doesn't even fucking matter. That's the problem with comedy. It's just like with movies. It's like it doesn't even matter what the characters' names are anymore. They don't remember them. It's just that actor is doing that thing. That's it.
Yeah, they're just doing their shtick.
Yeah.
So she gets pregnant. She's freaking out about it. She's talking to a lot of people she knows about it, like family members and coworkers. And same on Seth Rogen's side, he mentions it to his stoner companions at their stoner house, doing stoner stuff,
which looks hella fun.
Yeah, honestly, they had a pretty nice pad, considering none of them worked, and
that's good for a little while.
Yeah, that's good for a little while. I guess they sell weed.
It's fun for a little. Yeah, you got something going on.
So, I mean, I buy it.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, you might think, well, maybe the topic of abortion might come up.
Right. It might be something that maybe this movie, like, I don't know,
when dealing with an unexpected pregnancy and Seth Rogen's character is very inequipped to help out or really take care of
He's not like child. Emotionally really prepared for the whole thing.
Right, and Katherine Heigl's character is just, I think she's just about to get a promotion or just got a promotion at the television network she works at for some talk show or some kind of E-channel interview show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because people in movies always have jobs where it's like they work at like a TV station or a magazine in New York or they work for a fucking archaeologist or something like that, and they unearth bones. Like,
There are probably there's a couple dozen people who do that, and let's just make stories about these guys.
let's make stories about people who work for like the Rolling Stone.
Because come on, dude. Life is kind of boring for a lot of us regular jackoffs.
Right, yeah. So we should have movies about people that try to have the same lives as us and have the same problems as us, but they have a loft apartment in Manhattan.
Yeah, they never really seem to be struggling.
Nobody ever struggles
with anything, financially at least. Or if it is brought up, it seems like something that could be
It's the same problem I had
easily
with like
solved.
that show Girls too.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Like
another Judd Apatow joint, actually.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
He wrote and
but
is a producer on that show.
Continue your point about Knocked Up and abortion.
Oh, right. So with abortion, it's kind of brought up, but not really, in the sense that they imply that as an option, but they don't actually say the word abortion. They dance around it. They say phrases like, oh, what you should do is you should take care of it. Or, you know what you should do, man? You should have her get a shishmortion.
A shishmortion?
Yeah.
I'm
not going to say it out loud because I might offend some people here.
Well, I think a part of it is...
she should get a shishmortion at the shishmortion clinic. And...
Because it's like, yeah, I could not say it and also attempt to make a joke.
It just seemed kind of weird that was... It was just awkward. It was a very awkward moment in this movie that stood out for some reason.
Well, he can't really like say that, like abortion is just one of those things that's just going to be argued about for like until the end of time. It's just like nobody's ever going to come down one way or the other on it until like, I guess maybe if like religion doesn't exist anymore, if that is a thing, then maybe we could have like one consensus on it, but that's probably pretty improbable. So if we make a stance any one way or any other, and I'm not even saying you have to make a stance, but if we say literally anything about it, then that hurts the movie because it's not about making art, it's about making money. And that's honestly at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's like Mel Brooks wanted to make art. He made money because he made good art. That's what happens. Like he became a very wealthy man by putting out very quality products that a lot of people appreciated and still put money into and bought and rebought over and over and over again, even to this day. It's like these guys, Judd Apatow is just out to make a quick buck. That's it. Like each movie is just a quick cash grab. It has nothing to do with like making anything sort of meaningful or long lasting. It's just a cash grab. And a lot of the times it's literally just the cast of people that he keeps using the same cast over and over again and the same comedians that are, popular these days because he's using name recognition to get you to watch the movie. It's like, oh, I know Aziz Ansari. Yeah, let's check that out. And then he pulls it. There's another couple bucks,
Well, I kind of look at his movies in this way, which is that he has a room full of furniture and he just rearranges it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's a good scam.
One thing I kind of wanted to say too is that when it comes to the family values agenda, you could say with some of his movies or some of his stories, is that I also have to keep in mind, or I think we should also keep in mind, the time in which these movies came out, which was during the Bush era, or the W. Bush era, which was that the Christian right really had a lot of influence on mainstream entertainment because they were the ones consuming a lot of it. They were into movies like Bruce Almighty and these...
Yeah, we need to make...
Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Let's make comedy movies about God.
Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So... you could only really get away with as much as you could. But as soon as Obama, I don't want to get political here, but as soon as Obama got elected, it's like, oh, now we can really get back to being the liberals we want to be.
I wonder why, because movies came out like all the time that were like not one way or the other in terms of what was going on in politics. But like it's weird how Judd Apatow was like oddly clued into that. It just goes back to, it's just all about profits. That's all it is. It's just all about, what's the lexicon of the day and the era. Like, that's it.
He went on from Knocked Up to, I think, get a little bit more... I want to
When
say
did Funny People come out?
I want
That
to
was
say
2009.
yes. I want to say that he was starting to slip into a little bit of auteurdom a little bit with this one because
With what? Funny People?
yeah, because one thing about it is that he, as opposed to his earlier comedy films and shows that he made that just kind of looked like standard comedy movies as far as the cinematography goes. For Funny People, for some reason, he hired Janusz Kaminski to be the director of photography, who you might know as the the director of photography for many of Steven Spielberg's films, movies like Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan and Munich.
Yeah, let's get the guy.
Everything since Schindler's List.
Let's get
pretty
the
much.
guy who did the cinematography for Schindler's List to film Aziz Ansari jumping up and down, screaming the different sizes of ice cream you can get at Cold Stone.
So
in
the
one of the
movie-
worst bits I've ever seen in my entire life, which systematically after seeing that bit from 2009, I mean, I'd never seen Funny People before. And I was actually kind of okay with Aziz Ansari. I thought he was good on I thought he was decent on Parks and Rec. I liked his
Sure.
character on
Yeah,
there.
Tom
I thought
Haverford.
thought that was funny. I had some great bits.
Entertainment 720.
That was amazing. I love that whole bit. The Entertainment 720 bit was so funny. And then I even liked his Master of None. I liked all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. That was a good show.
His kind of short-lived Netflix show, but I thought it was relatively compared to everything else that's out there. I thought it was good. But the fucking bit he does on Funny People about the Cold Stone ice cream, and I told you the bit already. The bit already is him saying, at Cold Stone they got 3 different sizes of ice cream, and it starts with little ice cream, then oh man I love bigger ice cream, and oh biggest ice cream. It's like that's literally the bit. Is just him just saying what the Cold Stone likes to call its sizes, like what Starbucks calls its fucking sizes, and just jumping up and down like a fucking annoying chimpanzee, it's insane how bad it is, and that's like the bit that they left in the movie.
Right. So so basically the gist of the joke is, or the gist of the bit is, Cold Stone Creamery's menu.
Yeah, he's
is
reading Cold
like
Stone Creamery's
doing crack.
menu and doing crack and jumping up and down. And after I saw that, I immediately just fucking canceled. See, this is the thing.
All the
this is
stand-up-
what we need to be canceling people for.
Oh, boy. Okay.
This is what we need to be canceling people for.
Cancel culture.
Cancel
Hashtag
culture
cancel
needs to be
culture.
there are definitely guys racists out there need to be canceled. All kind of stuff like that. For sexist people need to be canceled for sure. But we also need to cancel comedians for shitty bits. And this is right here. This bit should have ended his career. It is the worst thing I've ever seen on a film in my entire life. And I'm not exaggerating. I wanted to just fucking curl into a ball and just forget that the universe existed around me. I wanted to be sucked into the void. I was done at that point. I couldn't watch anymore because I was trying to watch the movie for the fucking podcast. I was trying to do some goddamn research. And what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this? Okay? Am I supposed to I would have rather have taken a shovel and had to clear a mass grave than watch the rest of that fucking movie. It is God.
Well, it's about 2.5
I'm done.
hours long, so I want to say that part was in somewhere in the first 15-20 minutes, so you saved yourself probably a good 2 hours. The thing about this movie is that I want to say it's Judd Apatow's love letter or some gay bullshit to stand-up comedy, just as
I liked
an
Aubrey
art form.
Plaza. I liked Aubrey Plaza in the movie. That's it.
Well, Aubrey Plaza and anything is great.
I liked her. She was good.
There were actually some performances in this movie that I liked. Eric Bana is actually the funniest character in the whole movie, and he doesn't show up until
2 hours into the movie.
I want to say, I remember seeing it in theaters, and I turned to the person I was seeing it with, and I said, "Hey, I remember from the trailer that Eric Bana was supposed to be in this movie, and we're 2 hours into it, and I haven't seen him yet. This is how much longer is this movie gonna be?
Oh, they do that kind of shit all the time. I mean, fucking they advertised Benedict Cumberbatch in 1917, and then he shows up for 2 seconds in the very last scene of the film, and
Right.
it's hilarious. It's just like, I know you just got done watching this shitty movie that this gimmicky poor attempt at surrealism. But here's the advertised actors at the fucking last scene. He has one line. It's so fucking stupid. I hate that movie. It sucks.
Yeah. Well,
We'll get to that.
Well.
I'm not letting that go. I'm not letting fucking Sam Mendes off the hook for that one. That dude should be ruined because of that movie.
Yeah. Well, we've brought it up in at least 2 episodes now.
I'm gonna bring it up in every episode from here on out. Like every episode will have at least one moment where I reference 1917 and how bad it is.
And the 50th thing that's wrong with 1917.
I swear to God, Jordan, don't even tempt me. I won't.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But anyway, funny people. All the other stand-up bits in that movie aren't that much better than Aziz's. You'd think with a movie that is focusing on funny people, the joke is okay. The title is sort of ironic, which is funny.
It's
people.
ironic because they're not funny.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like funny people aren't actually that. They're not having that much fun inside, because famous people often find out that having wealth and fame isn't all there is in life, which is a very original storyline that I haven't seen in any movie.
Isn't that like kind of like the crux of like almost every stand-up bit or stand-up routine? Is that like it's funny because I'm depressed?
I don't know. They've made movies with this kind of theme since the 40s. All About Eve, I guess. Maybe.
Literally forever.
It's Adam Sandler's character is this washed-up comedian. He's sort of playing
Himself.
It's sort of a meta character, kind of like Eminem in 8 Mile, where he's sort of doing his origin story, but
Himself, yeah.
But he's not. But his name isn't Marshall.
Yeah.
But you get it.
Speed motherfucking rabbit.
Damn right.
That's a great movie.
Awesome movie.
It was good. Yeah. that one. That was like one of the last things. It's like, what wasn't Brittany Murphy in that movie? And she was like the last. Didn't she like die or something?
R.I.P.
Yeah, she died.
She died of an overdose, I think, about 10 years ago.
So she was playing herself in that movie too.
Ooh. That's a rough one, I tell you.
Yeah, the old Amy Winehouse routine there.
Oh boy.
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd. Oh.
What a childhood I had. My mother never breastfed me. She always had a headache.
So, Funny People, it's just not a great movie. It's way too long, and this is a problem that's with a lot of other Apatow movies, is that they just lack editing. He lets the improv bits go on way too long, kind of like on an SNL sketch where the initial premise is amusing and maybe entertaining, and then it just goes on like 5 or 10 minutes too long past the point where it's funny, and you're just waiting for it to end. That's kind of what it's like with Funny People. It's got some moments that are good.
There's always like 1 or 2 bits in each movie that sort of that do have a little bit of weight, and I feel like it's like one of those things where it's like we had those 2 bits and we wrote the whole fucking movie around them.
Right. It's the same thing kind of with his next film. I guess we don't really have to go like chronologically by order of this movie.
No, I don't want to. There's too much bullshit. I want to talk about a little bit about just the whole kind of controversy around Apatow, and like there's so much. I mean, really, this could be a 2-parter, but we're not going to.
We could do that with most episodes, I think.
And stuff, but the thing is that, and honestly, I just don't want to talk about Judd Apatow for that long. But
yeah.
Throughout this whole like process, like this vetting process that we've had, where we've been sort of changing the perspective of the country and everything, like Judd Apatow has just been like shoving his own foot in his mouth, and just like there's just been he's just not handled it very well at all. And I just feel like it's one of those things where it's like he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, and he just says like some of the weirdest shit, and a lot of stuff has come out, especially from like that movie Pop Star, starring like The Lonely Island that came out a few years ago. And there was like this weird thing where I want to talk about a little bit is that Judd Apatow like had a bit he wanted to put in it, and it's like he wanted to just like have a bit where like Andy Samberg rolls down the fucking window to the limousine, and Judd Apatow like puts his own penis into the limo.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like, I kind of see where the comedy of that is. It's just sort of like a shocking thing or something like that. But like the problem I have is that like Andy and the rest of the people in the Long Island, they didn't want Judd Apatow to like shove his dick in their face. Like they didn't really like want to do that. And then Judd Apatow basically like threatened to like not fund the movie. Like he was basically like just not wanting to like he like really pushed for it and like really like almost basically forced the bit. And Andy Samberg like has been like interviewed about this several times, and he's expressed that he was like not cool with that and didn't really want to do it. But Judd Apatow insisted, and they went along with it anyways. And it's just one of those things where it's like you could just tell in like interviews and stuff, like watching him, that he was like super uncomfortable with that.
Every time I've seen an interview with cast members of his movies, and they get asked about that, about
a lot of different
having
stuff.
to do nude scenes.
Yeah,
they kind of dance around it a bit. They kind of joke over it. And, but you can tell they're uncomfortable, like you said.
It's like when Lena Dunham was interviewed, and Judd Apatow was like, "We're gonna have a scene where like your parents in the show like have sex and stuff," and like it was like weirdly worded, like an email to her, like where it was just like, "This is what I want to happen. I want you, your mom, and your dad in the film to have sex, and like you're gonna be in it too and stuff." And it was like this weird, like almost like perverted email that he sent to her that was in the writing process, that like she expressed that was pretty uncomfortable. And like Judd Apatow has also just been super creepy about around Lena Dunham. And I'm not saying like Lena Dunham, like whatever, I don't give a shit. She's kind of, she's, who fucking cares about her at this point? But like, but still, I do care when it comes to like Judd basically like treating her in like this really creepy way.
Right. Well, there was one actor who seemed to at least express some disagreement about that, or some criticism towards him, which was Katherine Heigl, who was in Knocked Up. She didn't like the movie, it turns out, at the end. I mean, it's one of those things where, look, you're an actor, you did the job. I don't know what else there's to say, because if you did the movie, you agreed to it at some point.
Yeah.
I imagine you read
But
the
there's
script.
also these like rewrites though.
Sure.
And these scenes added in later, where it's like people sign on to the movie, and then he has a tendency to like add in scenes like that after they've already signed into the movie.
I think, well, the thing she spoke out about was that I think Judd Apatow wanted her to be nude in the movie. She said no, and she also had some problems with the way women in general were portrayed in the movie, which was that they seem to be these sort of joyless, humorless people who are nothing but burdens on the
breeding
guys.
machines. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, those are fair criticisms, because that was one of my problems with Knocked Up, actually. Not to say like Katherine Heigl like should have been naked, but it was just weird seeing the sex scenes with her basically just wearing her underwear. She still had her bra on.
Yeah, 'cause she didn't want to be naked.
Yeah,
that's fine if you don't want to be naked.
But I was
feel
thinking
like if you
they
don't
should have
want to be naked,
hired.
you shouldn't have to be naked. But yeah, you can
hired an actress who was okay with doing nudity, and I feel like there you go.
Yeah, I think he gets I mean, this is my own opinion, but I think he gets a bit of a kick about making people uncomfortable like that, And I think that the thing is that like, look, that's just not a bit. You're just being an asshole.
He also has this weird thing with always, well, not always, but especially over the last several films, having parts in it for his wife and children. He's
the nepotism, the hypocrisy of the nepotism is so insane, because speaking of the pop star movie, like he did not want any sort of like like he used to be like against like all the nepotism and stuff in Hollywood of like having your kids be in movies and all that kind of stuff like that. And then it only took like a year or two after him saying that to start casting his fucking own kids in movies. Like there was definitely like several films where there was a kid in it and he could have cast like a young actor or something like that, but he chose to use his own fucking daughters.
Yeah, ever since Knocked Up, I believe it's starred his wife and his two daughters, and I don't get it because they're not terrible, but they're not particularly good either. They're just there.
Yeah.
And what's also kind of weird, I think, is that he always films his wife, Leslie Mann, in just like the most angelic light possible.
Yeah, he has this like weird thing where like he always talks about like how he fucking married like the most beautiful woman in the entire world, and like nobody's as beautiful as his wife, and it's like, you know,
and he also
she's all right. She's a regular looking person. I don't get it.
and they also have it so that he also makes it so that in his movies that she's in, that other characters in the movie also refer to her as how beautiful she is.
Oh God.
I've seen it. It was definitely it was a lot of it was in, there's definitely some of it in Knocked Up. There was a lot of it in Funny People. It's just Adam Sandler talking about how like great and perfect and God's gift to mankind she is. Same with This Is 40, and but she definitely got a huge boost in her career from being married to Judd Apatow because she was just in a.
Yeah, she's like a regular Michelle Obama
she was
over there.
In most of his movies. She's been in a bunch of other movies that are kind of tertiary or ancillary or whatever that word is to his other films, which aren't directed or really by him. Like movies like You Don't Mess with the Zohan or something like that.
Right.
And she was also a lot in Funny People. You talked about the Aziz Ansari scene.
Yeah.
But I think I can top it, which is that there's a scene, I think about 3/4 through the film, where Adam Sandler's getting together with Leslie Mann's character, and they're reuniting and just sharing things with each other. And she decides to put on a videotape of her older daughter performing some stupid song from Cats. And you just watch, and it just shows the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just watching home videos at this point.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what is this?
Narcissism of this man is just like out of this world.
I don't want to see your family home videos, dude. Like, what am I watching? A fucking Harmony Korine film?
This is Jacoby in human form. Do you see?
Yes.
This is Leeds in human form. Do you see?
Yes.
This is Jacoby changing.
Oh
Do
my
you
God.
see?
Well, at least you're watching a Harmony Korine film. Like, there's gonna be some like weird shit happening. Like, you know, there's gonna be some sort of weird reason why it's going on. It's like, no, he just thinks his family is so fucking perfect that he has to put him in the thing.
Yeah, and he
that's his thing.
He
just
says
thinks
this a
everything's
lot.
so great.
He says this a lot in his like recent stand-up special as well.
The recent we're gonna
The
probably
Return.
okay. So we're before we go, we're gonna talk about this fucking stand-up special. So
yeah, let's get the last thing in here.
Yeah.
I don't really need to talk about King of Staten Island. It's a Judd
okay.
Apatow film.
Bill Burr is great in it.
Bill Burr, every scene.
That's the only reason why.
Every
you should watch
scene
it.
with Bill Burr and like Steve Buscemi and like some of the other characters make it bearable. It's just the overall story and the overall main character is just not very likable, and I just don't really care. And after like 2.5 hours, almost,
it's so fucking long.
I'm just like, I just want this thing to be over. So
It's like we need 2.5 hours to say that this kid like gets a job.
That gets a job and finds self-respect, and I guess pursues drawing shitty tattoos and getting with the girl he was already sort of
like
having sex with.
the movie ever made ever.
Getting with the girl that he was already sort of having sex with and having a thing with anyway, and then just realizing, oh, I guess I should like maybe take that more seriously, and then it happens, and that's about it.
Woo.
So there you go. I saved you 2.5 hours there, Everett.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much, man. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
But the thing is this fucking Judd Apatow this year released a stand-up special on Netflix, and
Why'd you say it like that?
It is not controlled by the Chinese. I'm saying that at all. But
okay.
But I'm not saying that whatsoever. That's totally unfabricated, totally unfounded. But he released a special on there that's basically just Judd Apatow talking about his kids and talking about all the different people he's taken pictures with over the years. Like one bit would be remember it's a stand-up comedy. So I mean one of the bits are I once took a picture with Jerry Seinfeld. And this is a picture of me and Jerry Seinfeld. And me and Jerry Seinfeld were having fun. And then somebody came in and they spilled drinks all over themselves. And we both laughed.
Here I am.
That was great. Yeah. It's just like, here are all the people I've ever met.
Here I am with me. Well, here I am with my wife. And here we are.
Isn't she beautiful?
Here I am with my gorgeous, perfect wife, and I'm being pictured here with President Obama, and he made a point to mention how beautiful my wife is.
Your wife is hot. I'm just saying, folks, Judd Apatow's wife is hot.
I'm just saying, if I weren't married, I would totally hit that.
If Michelle says it's okay.
Yeah, if Michelle says it's okay, and if we never got together, I'm saying, watch out, Judd. Yeah, so this stand-up special, it's just the flattest thing. It's one of those things where if the stand-up was if it was absolutely terrible, like some of you may be familiar with the comedy group Everything is Terrible. They have these compilation videos of just like the worst stand-up from like the early 90s and 1980s.
If you don't know, you should know. They're great.
You should absolutely watch it. The way they make it funny because they cut it together in a very artful and very effective way. But even like it's so bad that you can't it doesn't piss you off really. It's funny because it's so bad. The thing about Judd Apatow's stand-up special is that it's flat. It's just there's really no high or low points.
Because he doesn't have any talent for comedy.
I'm just watching it.
That's the problem, is that he's not good at comedy. Yet he is the person that is completely in charge of all comedy, like 99% of comedy that comes out these days, and it's all to do with just the fucking wallet, or he's just in some sort of weird fucking pedophile ring like everybody else is, like, which is probably less likely to be true, but like the thing is, it's just like there's something weird going on. Either people are so fucking dumb that they're just like consuming this crap over and over again, and they're just like, well, they're buying it, so we'll just keep making it, which is honestly probably more towards the truth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But
all of his stand-up is the whole special is just here's some stories about some people I know that are funnier than I am.
Yeah, who are way
pretty much.
Yeah, Judd Apatow's return to comedy when he left because
and here's
he sucked.
And here's some mundane and here's some mundane stuff about my family, and my kids think I'm stupid because I don't know what TikTok is. TikTok, I don't get it. It's just a bunch of
malarkey. I don't understand it whatsoever.
I tried to make a TikTok and it didn't turn out very good.
No. Oh no, Dad, you're so embarrassing.
I'm such an embarrassing, schlubby, and also very, very successful man.
Yeah, it sucks because, I was trying to play hide and seek with my kids, but, it's like the house is so big, it takes forever. So that was a great joke.
I have so many cars, I forget which one they hide in.
Yeah, it's like the other day, you ever have your kids, like, mix up your Tesla and your Mercedes and your Lamborghini keys, and then you're trying to figure out, like, which one goes to which one, and you're just hitting the buttons and making all the car sounds and stuff, and then that's a fun afternoon.
I just can't find him anything really relatable about his material. Obviously,
no, because his material. Even what was that movie? This Is 40, where the fucking whole premise of the film was like there's these two like really successful people that are having money troubles because they can't afford 4 cars and a yacht.
Yeah, and they're not making money at their record label companies or boutique clothing stores in downtown LA, looks like. I just don't know who these people are. Judd Apatow knows who these people are because they are himself.
That's who's around him,
and
that's what he writes.
knows.
And it's like, I don't understand how it's like you can just have somebody with like no real, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't understand what people see in him other than the fact that the only reason why these actors are constantly in his movies, and they sort of like, with every interview I see from every actor, that has to be a thing, which is a very like Weinstein-esque sort of feeling I get from a lot of their movies, is that like, well, Judd Apatow, he's the wallet, he's the purse, and I want to make a movie, I want to make some money, so I gotta go make a movie with him. And so like it's sort of like this catch-22 situation where if you're an actor, you're trying to you're in comedy and you're trying to actually do a full-on Hollywood movie in comedy, it's like you have to go through him. And you have to put up with his stupid bullshit. And you have to put up with his perverted emails and his weird perverted script changes. You have to put up with him putting his fucking dick in your face. Like, you have to put up with all this bullshit just to like get your career going, or just to like get further on to your goals and stuff like that. It's like you got to go suck that dude's dick if you want to make it here.
He's been on a lot of podcasts over the years recently, such as Joe Rogan and Your Mom's House, and I noticed that they are just trying to vibe off him. They're just kind of letting him.
They're trying to suck up to him to get those parts, to get those movie parts.
Like, hey, Bill Burr was in your latest movie. Maybe I can be in your next thing because, well, especially now with we're gonna be hopefully dating ourselves, but now with the whole COVID-19 pandemic going on, look, stand-up comedy is dead.
Yeah, it's dead. Yeah, Burt Kreischer was trying to do drive-in theater comedy shows, which is like so fucking stupid. Like
Louis, sort of ironically, Louis C.K. was the last comedian to get one last special in.
Yeah, he got one last one in there.
All right, we're done. Can't cancel me because stand-up comedy is canceled.
Yeah, I like how Judd Apatow like has the fucking nerve to like send, shame on you messages to Louis C.K. as he's fucking forcing his actors to stare at his penis. Doing almost the exact same thing that Louis did.
Honestly, Judd Apatow
is doing to all of America what Louis did to that one woman.
I would just say, kind of closing this out, I would say, is that Judd Apatow is someone who would be pretty forgettable to me if it just wasn't for all the hypocrisy, if it wasn't for all the virtue signaling and stuff that he does online, say on his social media. He's part of the resistance, which means
give me a fucking break.
I'm gonna post a lot and not fundamentally change anything about my lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm gonna do all the things that I say are bad on Twitter.
I'm not really talking about what I believe in necessarily, or what I want to change, or anything or any real, say, candidates who I think we should vote for. I'm just generally saying it's sort of like the SNL bit where Alec Baldwin is playing Trump, and you could break every sketch down to, I'm a big idiot. And I'm a terrible president.
Joke. Yeah,
and I'm a terrible president, and I'm bad at my job.
Yeah, that's
live from New York. It's Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nancy Pelosi, I don't like her.
So
she sucks.
He can make his shitty movies as much as he wants. I just think that I don't really know what the general response to his latest movie is, the King of Staten Island, but
it's just there's the thing is that it's crafty. It's crafty because Bill Burr's in it. And Bill Burr is pretty much unanimously loved, which as he should be. So that's what saves it. It's like Judd Apatow seems to eke out one thing about each of his movies, kind of save it from being a complete piece of shit. But it's not in a way where it's it was a generally well written thing. It's more of a strategic thing that he does to keep it going. It's in order for me to keep pumping this garbage out for everybody, you have to have something in there. It's if you're pumping out cheeseburgers that suck at least the fucking actual, there's like some bacon on it or something like that makes it bearable.
I just
You know
kind
what I mean?
of
There's a sauce on there that makes it. It's like, yeah, this McRib is literally just like processed like hot dogs like ground up, and then there's a nice tangy sauce on it, so it's like you can fucking eat the whole thing. You know, it's what it is. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Here, I've said my piece.
I got nothing left, man.
I got nothing left. Well,
All I can say is Judd Apatow is a hack. Hopefully, we've made a good enough case about him to support that.
yeah, hacksawpodcast@gmail.com, right? Or is it the?
It's hacksawpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and also if you have any suggestions for future episodes as well, we're open. We are also going to be uploading our episodes to YouTube as well, and that's just at the Hacksaw Podcast YouTube channel. It's pretty much just the audio, but I make a fun little slideshow with the episodes. So
it's so fun, Jordan. You did such a good job. Have you seen my son's slideshow? It's fantastic.
I like having any opportunity to edit anything, so I'd appreciate it if you watch it. If YouTube's your thing.
Yeah, we'll probably get on to more platforms here pretty soon once I figure out how to do that. So, anyways, talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.